inquisitive psychologist and all too aware of our irrational passion and foibles. They insisted that it was only by calling out the common sources of folly that we could hope to overcome them. The deliberate application of reason was necessary precisely because our common habits of thought are not particularly reasonable. That leads to the second ideal, science, the refining of reason to understand the world. The scientific revolution was revolutionary in a way that is hard to appreciate today. Now that its discoverers have become second nature to most of us. The historian David Wotton reminds us of the understanding of an educated Englishman of the eve of the revolution in 1600. He believes witches can summon up the storms and sink ships at sea. He believes the werewolves, although there happen not to be any in England, he knows they are to be found in Belgium. He believes sharks really did turn Odysseus' crew into pigs. Circe really did turn Odysseus' crew in pigs. He believes mice are spontaneously generated in piles of straw. He believes in contemporary magicians. He has seen an unicorn horn, but not an unicorn. He believes that a murdered body will bleed in the presence of a murderer. He believes that there is an ointment which, if rubs on a dagger which has caused a wound, will cure the wound. He believes that the shape, color, and texture of a plant can be a clue to how it will work as a medicine because God designed nature to be interpreted by mankind. He believes that it is possible to turn base metal into gold, although he doubts that anyone knows how to do it. He believes that nature abhors a vacuum. He believes the rainbow is a sign from God and the comet portend evil. He believes that dreams predict the full future if we know how to interpret them. He believes, of course, that the earth stands still and the sun starts turn around the earth once every 24 hours. A century and a third later, an educated descendant of the Englishman would believe none of those things. It was an escape not just from ignorance but from terror. The psychologist Robert Scott notes that in the Middle Ages, the beliefs that an external force controlled daily life contributed to a kind of collective paranoia. Rainstorms, thunder, lightning, wind gusts, solar of lunar eclipse, cold snaps, heat waves, dry spells, and earthquakes alike were considered signs and signal of God's displeasure. As a result, the hobgoblins of fear inhabited every realm of life. The sea became a satanic realm, and forests were populated with beasts of prey, ogres, witches, demons, and very real thieves and cutthroats. After dark, to the world was filled with comets portending the dangers of every sort: comets, meteors, shooting stars, lunar eclipses, the holes of wild animals. To the Enlightenment thinkers, the escape from ignorance and superstition showed how mistaken our conventional wisdom could be, and how the methods of science, scepticism, fallibilism, open debate, and empirical testing are a paradigm of how to achieve reliable knowledge. That knowledge includes an understanding of ourselves. The need for a science of man was a theme that tied together the Enlightenment thinkers to disagree about much else, including Montesquieu, Hume Smith, Kant, Nicolas de Condorcet, Denis Diderot, Jean-Baptiste Dalmert, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and Giambattista Vico. Their belief that there was such a thing as universal human nature and that it could be studied scientifically made them precocious practitioners of science that would be named only centuries later. They were cognitive neuroscience who tried to explain through emotion and physiopathology in terms of a psychical mechanism of the brain. They were evolutionary psychologists who sought to characterize life in a state of nature and to identify the animal instincts that are infused into our bosoms. They were social psychologists who wrote of the moral sentiments that drew us together, the selfish passion that divide us, and the foible of short-sightedness and that confound our best laid plans. And they were cultural anthropologists who mined the accounts of travelers and explorers for the data both of humans universal and on the diversity of customs and more across the world's culture. The idea of the universal human and nature brings us to a third theme: humanism. The thinkers of the Age of Reason and the Enlightenment saw an urgent need for a secular foundation for the morality because they were haunted by a historical memory of centuries of religious carnage, the Crusades, the Inquisition, which haunts the European wars of religion. They laid the foundation in what we now call humanism, which privileged the well-being of individual man, woman, and child over the glory of the tribe, race, nation, or religion. It is individuals, not groups, who are sentient, who feel pleasure and pain, fulfillment and anguish. Whether it is framed as the goal of providing the greatest happiness for the greatest number of us, or as a categorical imperative to treat people as ends rather than means. It was the universal capacity of a person to suffer and flourish, they said, that called on our moral concern. Fortunately, human nature prepares us to answer that call. That is because we are endowed with a sentiment of sympathy, which they also call benevolence, pity, and commiseration. Given that we are equipped with the capacity to sympathize with others, nothing can prevent the cycle of sympathy from expanding from the family and tribe to embrace all humankind, particularly as reason guides us into realizing that there can be nothing uniquely deserving about ourselves or any of the groups to which we belong. We are forced into cosmopolitanism, accepting our citizen in the world. A humanistic sensibility impelled the Enlightenment thinkers to condemn not just religious violence, but also the secular cruelties of their age, including slavery, dispostives, execution for frivolous offenses such as shoplifting and poaching, and sadistic punishment such as flogging, amputation, impalement, disembowelment, breaking on the wheel, and burning at the stake. The Enlightenment is sometimes called the humanitarian revolution because it led to the abolition of barbaric practices that had been commonplace across civilization for millennia. If the abolition of slavery and cruel punishment is not progress, nothing is, which brings us to the Fourth Enlightenment ideal. With our understanding of the world advanced by science and our cycle of sympathy expanded through reason and cosmopolitanism, humanity could make intellectual and moral progress. It need not resign itself to the miseries and irrationalities of the present, nor try to turn back the clock to a lost golden age. The Enlightenment belief in progress should not be confused with the 19th century romantic belief in mystical forces, laws, dialects, struggle, unfolding destinies, ages of man, and evolutionary forces that propel mankind ever upward toward utopia. As Kant remarked about increasing knowledge and purging errors, indicates it was more prosaic and combination of reason and humanism. If we keep track of how our laws and manners are doing, think up ways to improve them, try them out, and keep the ones that make people better off, we can gradually make the world a better place. Science itself creeps forward through this cycle of theory and experiment, and its ceaseless headway, superimposed and locked setbacks and reversals show how progress is possible. The ideal of progress also should not be confused with the 20th century movement to re-engineering society for the convenience of the technocrats and planners, which the political science James Scott calls authoritarian high modernism. The movement denied the existence of human nature with its messy needs for beauty, nature, tradition, and social intimacy. Starting from a clean tablecloth, the modernists designed urban renewal project that replaced vibrant neighborhoods with the freeways, high-rise winds-swept places and brutalist architecture.